We are joined here in the studio today by Sileon and its CEO, David Larsson. Welcome.
Very good to be here, thank you.
I thought we'd go over the figures first. You reported an operating income for the quarter of 9.7 million crowns, which is almost half of what you reported in Q3 2022. When it comes to EBITDA, it turned negative in that same comparison, landing at negative 8.6 million. How does these figures compare to your expectations?
They are in line with expectations, and as I pointed out already in the last quarter, quarter three is yet another transformation quarter. We are transforming from a payment company, a local one, into an international SaaS company within BNPL. So yes, it is a transition quarter.
Is the Q3 here 2023, is that the last quarter that is being characterized as such?
As I point out in the report, Q4 will already be better, also from a cash flow and EBITDA point of view, yes.
But let's talk about what you're currently doing in operations then. You're carrying dialogue with 40 international banks, I believe, and the contracts are already expected to be delivered at the end of this year, Q4 2023. Could you elaborate on the current state of these dialogues? What are you currently talking about?
Yeah, it's 40 and counting. It pops up new every day right now, and it's coming in the dialogues we have when we travel around in Northern and Central Europe and tell about what we can offer. The interest is quite high. What we talk about is generally, let's say, 3 work streams: how the product is going to work, how the tech is going to work, and then of course the business model all around it. Why the interest is pretty high and rising, I would say, is a combination of 2 things. BNPL and adding functionality to existing credit and debit cards is getting increasingly relevant, but also the business case behind it is quite extensive for card issuers.
40 and counting sounds like a lot is going on. Is it difficult to carry that many conversations at once?
As far as it is now, we are managing it. It's sort of positive work to do. So I think we all within the company are doing our utmost. So for now, I don't see a capacity situation. No.
What sort of geographic coverage can we expect for your solutions in the first contracts you sign?
We say that the focus is really Nordics, but we also see Central Europe. So I would be least surprised to see that it pops up within Nordics and Central Europe.
In talking value then of these contracts, you mentioned a figure between 1.5 and 3 million euros annually, and with a margin of 85%, I believe. Could you elaborate a little bit on the scalability of this solution?
Yeah, given the now years of development work we've done building this buy now pay later software as a service platform, it's totally scalable. It's as scalable as Amazon Web Services. So the incremental, let's say, cost for us adding another customer onto the platform is marginal. However, of course, as we all can see in the balance sheet, the investment to get there has been quite extensive.
And the figure here, 1.5 to 3 million annually, how did you come to that figure?
Well, we have quite a good knowledge from the BNPL environment, and we also have knowledge about how the transactions will work, the conversion rates on transactions on cards. So on that business case, we are quite stable and knowledgeable, I would say. Then for those numbers, it need to be a mid-size to a large card issuer, that's for sure.
All right. But you mentioned that interest for BNPL solutions for debit cards and credit cards as well, that is increasing. And I read in the report that you mentioned Apple and that their sort of introduction to the sector has sort of risen demand for it. Could you explain a little bit about your competition currently? Is Apple a competitor, if you start there?
No, Apple is not a competitor to us, that's for sure, not for Sileon. It's rather that we enable and equip card issuers to be part of the BNPL offering, so they don't lose out when Apple really enter the market. So that's the position we are at. And in general, I would say that almost all banks I'm talking to, they are thinking about buy now, pay later and not to lose out on that movement. Not all look at how to add buy now pay later on existing cards. Some might think we could build a checkout or something like that. Then we are not the best option. But when they want to launch and add new functionality to the existing card base, using the existing technology they have, but also the existing customer relations they have, then we are, I would say, the best alternative there. Now, why we are not a competitor to Apple, as I just pointed out, a lot of banks now think what they want to do, but it also they need the reason to act. Apple is really moving in now. It is in US, they're moving into UK, and then further on into Europe. And from our point of view, they create the reason for banks to act.
So they've sort of added value to the ecosystem that plays right into your hands.
In a way, yes. Now, the Apple Buy Now Pay Later product, I would argue, is more a head-to-head competitor to the, let's say, the traditional credit cards. It's a short-term installments in 4 over like a month or so. Whereas where we add functionality where consumers can use installment plans in a variety of different flavors based on what our customers configure. So that's more longer range credits.
And you're looking to add even more functionality, BNPL Smart. What is that?
True. So one of the discussion points we have with the card issuing banks and fintechs is really to increase conversion rates, i.e. on the number of transactions that consumers choose for installments. So then we, through Smart BNPL, use push notifications at point of sale situations. So when you, let's say, buy a sofa at IKEA, a millisecond after the purchase is done and the transaction is authorized, you get a push notification saying, do you want to split this? That's number one. Secondly, when we talk with banks, it's really about responsive lending. And quite a few banks has been reluctant to move into buy now pay later just because of the, let's say, the reputation of the niche. So we will now enable banks to switch off the functionality of adding buy now pay later on transactions based on the merchant, based on the industry, based on the amount. So, for example, a card issuer could switch off the possibility for installments on restaurant purchases, or they could say, always when you buy furniture, you should be prompted by installment plans.
And will this be a part of your initial offer? Is it more sell here?
This is, for anyone who read our report might recall that we have a platform which is sort of the foundation. But then on top of this foundation, we have optional solution modules. So this would be an optional solution module. Nothing that one of our customers need to have, but they could add it.
For a price tag, I assume then.
That, of course, for a price tag, yes.
During the quarter, you managed to raise 33.8 million in a rights issue, or it was a little bit after the quarter. But could you tell us how this money will be spent moving forward? Yeah,
firstly, we are, of course, pleased and honored that our larger shareholders and our shareholders in general have the trust in Sileon in these difficult financial times we do have. We managed to get a new share issue in this size, and the proceeds will basically be used for pushing sales and marketing now when the product actually is on the shelf, and it will and also, of course, cover the gap we now have in the transition from now until we're cash flow neutral.
David Larsson, CEO of Sileon, thank you very much for being here and answering my questions.
Thank you very much.